Hi there, and welcome to Apple World. She generally discusses how she needs to function. I feel like she's worked sufficiently. She has individuals around who are conformists and permitting this to go on. So it seems Wendy Williams is ready for action with you all since she is planning to at last exhaust our screens after what feels like always being at the center of our favor. Fans have likewise brought up how things aren't all daylight and rainbows. And there has been a great deal of hypotheses that her group doesn't precisely have her well-being on a fundamental level. The word on the roads is that her group has supposedly been exploiting Wendy and driving her into things that she's not exactly prepared for, all to bring in some cash off of her Wendy's group. Simply drop a few subtleties of a forthcoming narrative, highlighting Wendy, yet fans feel a kind of a way about this, and they're in good company since Wendy's child, her sibling, her ex, and, surprisingly, her previous worker BJ Boof have been all getting down on the obscure moves by her group, and it looks like things are more terrible than we could in fact envision what is happening, and it seems as though reality may be juicier than the upcoming narrative itself, and obviously We Will Separate It has not worked effectively of safeguarding my mother, my life right currently. She's powerless and defenseless, and she should associate with individuals who won't exploit that I have no companions. It has been a long time since we last heard from Wendy Williams, or even saw her make the rounds, and fans are beginning to get stressed. Wendy was the sort of individual who was in every case wherever doing her show being gotten by paparazzi, and everything, so it was odd that she recently increased and vanished from the general visibility, so we were considering what was the deal with her, particularly since she hadn't precisely been looking good for some time before she vanished from the general population. So yes, it was extremely invigorating when she declared that she would have been featuring in a narrative on her life, not narrated. Acts like this are absolutely typical in light of the fact that numerous celebs have done them, and we will see a lot more celebs do in the days to come. It's a method for giving fans a knowledge into their lives as well as bring in some cool cash as an afterthought, yet sadly, with regards to Wendy. This news isn't the very extraordinary update that we expected on the grounds that she's not getting things done as well as we AD currently. Like I said before, she had been not doing so great before she vanished, and it appeared as though things didn't precisely further develop like we jump, particularly on the grounds that the trailer to the narrative started off with her Maxime, that she has lost everything, I have no cash. I will let you something know, if it happens to me, it could happen to you yet. Hello, she's most likely going to bring in a good measure of cash, essentially from the narrative, so that is certainly a silver lining, and yet we can't resist the urge to see that she actually is by all accounts having a difficult time in battling with the very gives that she's been managing for a really long time. The trailer depicts her in a condition of profound bitterness, and it pulls at the heartstrings, particularly realizing that the world is going to observe her battles on the big screen. Presently, many individuals imagine that Wendy's issues began when her show was dropped and she quit getting millions. However, truly, it began way before that. I'm talking a very long time before the show finished, yet her show being removed just compounded the situation, being begun to disentangle a whole lot sooner, and it began when her then-spouse Kevin Tracker began dating a lady named Sharina Hudson. He was spending vigorously on Sharina, selecting her for extravagant shopping binge and Wendy's Ferrari and stuff like that. You realize he was deceiving up cash. She's in the front seat of my Rolls-Royce Ferrari. And you realize, extremely, and our child's in Miami, so I need to be conf on that telephone with him, like a caring mother. I must be cheerful on the television each day live from New York. However, it was much more terrible on the grounds that, as per reports, Kevin had secluded Wendy from her loved ones. So when he began undermining her, she had no one to converse with about it. Also, she needed to manage it isolated. I had no one again to converse with, except for the times presently were much more profound than they at any point were a major part of my life. I couldn't collide to my mother, my father, my sister. They would have quite recently said simply leave. I'm similar to, however, I'm still enamored. I don't have any idea what to do. Like, are you serious with this? Is truly going down? This is going down. She remained in a marriage despite the fact that she was being undermined in light of the fact that she cherished Kevin, and she didn't actually have an emotionally supportive network. Far more terrible, Kevin began spending Wendy's cash on Shireen. He had set up around 5 organizations for her. However, they generally crashed sooner or later. The Eider said he put her through school to be a back rub specialist. He opened the stand for her at a shopping center in North Carolina, where she's from. He assisted her set up a gems and dress with coding on the web called Vishya. None of her organizations have been a triumph. He even purchased her a house worth more than $750,000, and it was in a real sense several minutes from the house that he imparted to Wendy and obviously Ted. He cash from that house came from Wendy's ledger. It was you all with a robot and snapped a photo, and I read about it in the online journals and the sensationalist newspapers. The location of this spot that he had bought to impart to this woodlands 9 miles from my home in Livingston, and there, having a great time, the issue kept on harming Wendy, which was downright terrible. However, she decided to remain. She came to accept it. She had a kind of management style with Kevin where she would turn a blind eye to his undertakings, as long as he didn't have a child on her, and as long as he didn't get Sharina pregnant. She was able to imagine that the issue was not occurring, and her descending winding was set off by the disclosure that Kevin had gotten Sharina pregnant. Drove Wendy to go to liquor hooking with the backslide in her continuous fight with liquor reliance. She was totally broken. She had nobody to converse with about it. An insider said he controls all that. He takes her telephone. She has 0 companions. She's not in that frame of mind with her family. He controls each part of her life since he's uncertain anyway, in spite of the unrest. Wendy figured out how to get the pieces. She stood firm and sought legal separation from Kevin, and she painstakingly plotted out her vengeance. In a meeting, Kevin uncovered that Wendy had decisively arranged things out, and in addition to the fact that she separated from him, yet she likewise sorted out for him to be terminated from the Wendy show that very day. He said at the point when the news was out, "I told her I would step down from the show, and Wendy let me know I really want to remain in light of the fact that I was having a youngster. I remained exclusively to later be arranged. I got terminated from the board, served legal documents, and furthermore terminated from the show all around the same time. Wendy certainly participated in this. What's more, she uncovered that in a meeting. I don't suggest that you work with your better half since I made him my supervisor. And afterward, when I chose to separate from him, he must be terminated. All in all, I made him separated and jobless across the board." Definitely, Wendy had the upper ground on things for some time. However, that didn't keep going long on the grounds that Kevin prosecuted her to compel her to pay him a divorce settlement. He prevailed with regards to getting the provisional installment, and despite the fact that we don't know precisely the amount it was, we realize that it was all that could possibly be needed for himself and Sharina to live off of without working for cash. Wendy didn't appear to mind it all that much since she was making all that anyone could need. However, that didn't keep going long at all in light of the fact that 2 or 3 years later, her medical problems began, and things gradually went from terrible to more regrettable. Her medical problems took center stage, eventually prompting the cancellation of her show. Back in 2021, Wendy had to move away from the special carryout for the impending time of the Wendy Williams show. Anyway, she guaranteed that she would have been in her purple seat once the season began. She simply needed a chance to financially recover anyway. The circumstances took a descending turn when Wendy needed to drop her appearance at the show's debut since her CPs hadn't given her the go-ahead because of the complexities connected with her Graves' illness. Furthermore, she had additionally contracted a coronavirus, worsening her well-being burdens. Reports likewise suggest that Wendy wound up in a mental clinic. Managing emotional well-being issues like that wasn't terrible enough. Tasha K then went on her show to guarantee that Wendy was battling with beginning-stage dementia. As per Tasha K, Wendy wasn't residing in her Manhattan condo yet in a protected safe house since she wasn't equipped for residing all alone. And I could do without saying that this lion's entryway got her in a protected house. Okay, she is not at her Manhattan loft. Wendy Williams is residing in a protected house away from Pap now. She has lost all blood dissemination to the lower part of her legs and her feet, so she can't walk. Her elector objective is crazy, and she has beginning phases of dementia now separated from the cases of dementia. We should likewise discuss Tasha K's case that Wendy lost all bloodstream to the lower part of her legs and her feet so she can move around in a wheelchair. Now she has lost all blood course to the base of her legs and her feet so she can't walk anyway. With regards to Tasha K, everyone knows that you can't necessarily treat her in a serious way or accept all that she says since she has a past filled with making things up for snaps and perspectives. I mean, she, in a real sense, owes Cardi B about $4 million since she made up lies about Cardi and attempted to make them look like reality. She has additionally been blamed for making up tales about other celebs, so everybody realizes that you truly can't count on Tasha K's assertion. However, fans accept that there was something about Wendy's case that checked out on the grounds. Subscribe Apple World for more videos.